And I know that just as you listen to Christi share, I hope that with each share, with each story, something in your desire gets awakened. Maybe something you have not allowed yourself to desire before, or even think and feel it's possible. Or like in my case with my first non-negotiable in meeting Jeffrey, I just didn't know that existed, let alone that I could have that. So Christi, thank you so much for joining us.
Hi there.
Hi. We've been on this journey for a minute, and you've been so committed and such a champion of this deep work. And I'm wondering, as you look at where you were when you were starting out, because you started out by attending the Thriving Experience, right? That was your first
I
experience with this
did.
work. So what happened to you then at the experience, and kind of what led you to take that next step and explore continuing this journey with us?
Yeah, so that was back, I think it was in May of last year. This is, I think, my fourth TTE. And it was, I was hesitant about coming because I didn't want to be sold to, but some, my inner wisdom was saying, yeah, gotta be there. And I was met with, I'm sure what other people in the chat are meeting with, like felt like a soul resonance with the people who were here. The
Mm.
way that you and Jeffrey just held this space, and a whole team, Penny, um, just to hold the space, and it felt so accepting. So I felt like it was a safe space. And at the time, I did a conversation with you, and it was too much. It was not the right time. I had some other priorities, but then I came to the second TTE, and midway through, um, I was like, it was, you said something about, I was saving or earmarking some money for training, and you had mentioned a story about a woman who was doing more training instead of doing this work. And this work, you said something about having, or maybe it visualized something about me having like this certificate on the wall, but instead of on the wall in my office, it was the wall of my prison cell. And I was like, fuck that. Like, there's just no way. And I
Ah.
knew if I didn't do it then I might chicken out. And so I messaged, mid break, and I'm like, can I still get okay? And then I just took care of it. I'm like, okay, I'm in. I'm totally in. And I'm so, so
you
glad.
you're so wise. You knew exactly how your prison guards were going to show up. I remember getting an email from you when we were in the experience and saying, I'm all in. I'm all in, sign me up. And so yeah, and so profound, right? Like the layers of how the prison guards show up, like from that suspicion and holding back. Like, why would I even go there? Like, they're going to get me into something. Like, I don't want to. Ah, and it kind of makes me think of how the prison guards actually work in life, like outside of this event, because it is a mirror of everything else that happens in life. Life is always offering something to us. Like life always has something on offer. Are we taking it? Are we going like, no, not for me, not now, not. And so you've danced with all these layers, and you've come to journey with us. And so what became possible for you through this journey? What is different now?
Yeah. So the big thing that I is the safety I feel in my body. Before I was a calm person, and so people would say, "Oh, I just want to be calm like you," and I was like, "Oh, but on the inside, I'm just like shivering." Like, and
Mm.
came to understand that it was freeze. I had
Ah.
fight flight, and I was frozen on top of that, and I had no idea that that's what was going on. I had no idea that that was what was burning my energy, was all this agitation inside. And to the point where I realized I didn't feel safe sleeping next to my husband. I didn't feel safe in my body. I didn't feel safe around people. I sequestered myself up in a room in our house and just needed to like work with me. And so that was kind of going through the process. I mean, it's interesting to hear some of the stories, and some experiences inside those breakout rooms, because I'm remembering, oh yeah, I felt that way, because
Mhm.
that is not my normal now. Like my new baseline is, like this solid, safe security, which I
Mhm.
c- I didn't even
Wow.
know I was missing. Yeah, and
Wow.
yeah, and like now, like my new baseline that I'm reaching for, my desire is lush sufficiency. I'd like for that to be like my next baseline.
That
But the
gave you
safety,
chills.
yeah, the safety part, I had no idea, no idea, and I'm so so grateful. It's life. Like I was studying a little bit of like a polyvagal theory, and
Mhm.
understanding that like when you're not safe in your body, you actually literally see the world differently, and there are
Yeah.
things that are available to you in safety that are not available to you when when you're triggered, and when you're not, either hypo or hyper aroused. And
Oh,
so
that's such a great point, Christy. I share this story in my book, and you might have heard it from me too, about this woman I had a conversation with. She was exploring getting on this journey with us, and she shared the story with me about basically walking away from an offer that entailed compensation of over 350,000 to her from a certain project. But the way she did not receive that offer was she just went into fight, flight, freeze, and her mind just completely, her system dismissed that offer. She didn't even register that it was real, that it was for her. And that ties into that safety that you're talking about. If we don't feel safe in the body, we are going to experience the world differently. We're not going to be open to the opportunities there. Your legendary love is right there. Your legendary business is right there. Like everything is right there. And the system is unconsciously dismissing it, because when we are carrying unprocessed trauma, we're like Teflon to all these opportunities. What we consciously desire, our subconscious goes, no, unsafe, unsafe. No, no, you're not going to even see it, let alone take it. So I'm so grateful that you've experienced that so viscerally. And what strikes me is that you didn't even know that you didn't feel safe, right? It just felt normal to you. It was normal life. And it's in the process that something else became available. And you also shared with us something that struck us so deeply about redefining love.
mhm.
What was that about for you, Christy?
Yeah, I was all prickly before, kind of like, keeping people away from me, and I was so stuck in that protect, not connect um, mode of operating, that I didn't. I mean, I could not see the connections that were there available to me. And um, what I, you know, what I've discovered is that there's an identity or a way of thinking that I went about the world in the world that I'm not lovable. I'm not,
Mm,
capable of giving love, not capable of receiving love. And it breaks my heart, because my grandma, or my granddaughter who lives with us,
mm,
had said at one point she didn't feel loved. And it was just like, oh, here we are doing like everything that we can to be present for her, and somehow she's not feeling it. And so there's just been this whole unfolding of realization around what is love, what isn't love, how do we speak different love languages, and understand and learn to be more fluent in languages that were not our native love languages. and
ah,
um and being and being able to know that belief that I thought was my identity of unlovable was
ah.
actually not even mine. Like, it wasn't
Ooh,
mine. And what that did to my heart was just opened up a whole world of possibilities, because if I'm not unlovable, oh, does that mean that maybe I'm lovable? Does
ah.
that mean, you know and it had me shrinking and keeping myself away from people. And like now I've like moved back into the bedroom with my husband. I'm like totally, feel safe. There's a whole different way of having love is available. Love is accessible. Like, it's something I can experience too, because before I just thought it was not available, not an option on my menu.
Wow. Was not even an option on the menu. And it's so moving how you saw that in your granddaughter before you saw it in yourself, or maybe she helped you see it in yourself even deeper. As she is obviously, when you look at her, you know that obviously it's not her. Like she did not create that condition. Obviously, what if it's not you either? That story of being unlovable, what is it? What if it's not true? Whoa, the opportunity that it opens up. Wow. And different love languages, that requires quite a bit of vulnerability to acknowledge that and not get triggered by when somebody is not speaking your love language and understanding their love language and being able to speak it. That deeper level of connection is, yeah, it takes something. And you reflected so beautifully on stopping intergenerational trauma. I know it's very important to you, and you've been working on it and unpacking it for a while. Would you share your findings with us, your discoveries, your experiences?
Sure. Yeah. I love this quote that you have about patriarchy is addicted to women's free labor. I mean, not that
Mhm.
I love the idea, but it sums it up, so well. And it was, I was so shocked to realize that I had bought into that, on a unconscious level. I discounted everything that my mother had done, all the nurturing and the caregiving things, maybe because I just didn't think I was lovable and wanted to, maybe that was probably PG's. Um, but I just wanted to make something happen. I want to be productive in the world. I wanted to be
Mm.
successful. I wanted to do all these things. And, I was just mortified to realize that like I had bought into that piece of patriarchy, that I was completely not recognizing and honoring the contribution that my mother had made, so many women before her had made, and that humbly I was now being asked, as raising my grandchildren, to step into that role that I had tried to avoid,
Wow.
and
Wow.
offshoot and hire and uh, uh, get other people to handle those kinds of things for me, because it was just super triggering.
Mm.
And so I'm so committed now, like realizing this, that women's unpaid labor, like unrecognized labor, our contribution, our presence, so
Mm.
fucking valuable. Like nothing would happen without us, our existence. I mean, nothing.
Wow.
Children wouldn't be born,
Mm.
caregiving wouldn't happen.
Mm.
And so there was an article that I came across, from the New York Times, and they had assigned a value to all unpaid labor
Uh-huh.
for women in 2019, and it was $10.9 trillion worldwide. That was more than like the top four companies. And so I'm just so fucking over, the the belief I bought into, that of not being valuable, like women are not valuable. The one that I
Ah,
bought into without me even knowing, I bought into it, and I want it all gone.
yes.
I want it, all the patriarchy police, done. And I
Ah,
don't want my grandchildren to carry this forward. And so
yes.
it's interesting just being able to see, day to day, their experiences, what they've picked up, what, and be able to attune and adjust and try to offer some different perspectives as they're growing. It's been
Mm.
super humbling, and just super committed to recognizing the value that is here just by mere existence, just our presence.
It's so powerful. It's such a deep reclamation of your worth and how you carry yourself in the world, right? And how you show up in your relationships and what it's making possible for your grandchildren as well, right? It's very different. And what an experience they're going to have growing up with a role model who embodies her value.
Mm.
And safety, that grounded safety in her body. And she knows how to come back to it. And you'll probably, if you haven't already taught your kids, you probably, or your grandkids, you probably will, like those tools, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Christi, thank you so much for living this work, for embodying the change you want to see in the world. So honored to be on this journey with you.
Thank you so much for